I feel like shit.
Monday, happy days. Tuesday, Wednesday, happy days.
It's just one of those
happy days. The weekend comes, the cycle runs.
It's just one of those days where you don't wanna wake up. Everything is everybody sucks. You don't really know why, but you wanna justify ripping someone's head off. No human contact, and if you interact, your life is on contract. Your best bet is
Knock it off, you fuckhead.
it's just one of those days. It's just one of those.
Happy days.
It's just one of those.
Happy days.
It's just one of those days.
The weekend comes, the cycle runs. Ready to extend.
It's just one of those days, feeling like a freight train. First one to complain, leaves with the bloodstain. Damn right, I'm a maniac. You better cause I'm fucking up your program. And you go stuck up, you just locked up. Next in line to get fucked up. Your best bet is to stay away, motherfucker. It's just,
I'm losing my cool.
it's all about it.
Happy days.
It's just one of those,
Happy days.
it's just one of those days.
The weekend comes, the cycle runs. Ready to extend.
Feel like shit. My suggestion is keep the distance. Right now I'm dangerous. Right now I'm dangerous.
Something's happening to the bonds.
My day keeps going this way and this way.
I'm gonna pop you one so you'll stop playing games.
Give me something great. Give me something great. I hope you know I pack a chainsaw. A chainsaw. A motherfucking chainsaw.
What?
So come and get it.
We got
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Chief Moody, and welcome to episode 33 of the Mood of the Nation podcast. How is everyone doing this fine Thursday evening? I just had a quick look at the chat earlier on, just before the show started, and it kind of seemed quite down earlier on. I don't know if maybe the vibe is a lot better now, but from what I've seen with the chat earlier on, there seems to be comments like the world is now a scary place and all of that, which, seeing the growing tensions, say what's going on in Taiwan with China at the moment, I can understand there's a lot of concern with that at the moment, whether it be many people from across the political spectrum and all of that. But to be honest, I haven't really been paying attention to that most of the time. The only thing I've seen out of that was really from Stephen Crowder, but that's pretty much it. Other than that, I tend to care about what's really going on here in Britain, but that's really just me with that. So appreciate everyone watching the show just now. I also appreciate many people who shared the stream, such as Laura, Mark, Jody, the PA Fitness Club, I believe the official PA Telegram channel, as well as the PA Wells channel, and everyone else with that. You guys, thank you very much for sharing the stream. I really do appreciate that. And I do see 31 people watching the stream so far, which is still really good. Hopefully more people will come along during the show. So now, of course, being today that I was at work again, I also did overtime this morning. I woke up at 4:30 in the morning and started at 6 p.m. Not 6 p.m. Sorry, 6 a.m. I should say. My bad. Of course, I finished at 4:30, but you could tell with that I would be extremely tired after that. So I know it's supposed to be a 2-hour long show, but depending on how I'm feeling, I might end the show around about 7:30. Maybe I'll end it at 8. I'm not entirely too sure. Or even between that time frame. It just really depends on how I'm feeling at the moment, but we'll definitely see from there. I've got a couple of one news story to cover, one video to cover as well, kind of like a short review, like an advertisement. And then I did say on Sunday's episode that because it's October, being the month of Halloween, I did say that if you guys were interested, I was going to cover like one horror film each episode of Mood of the Nation. That is, of course, if you guys were still interested in that. I completely can't believe that I completely forgot about doing like a voting poll on my Telegram page, like a yes or no type of question. That way would have determined me whether or not if it would be a good idea or not. So if you guys are still up for that, I do have a particular film I do want to cover for today. So of course, since there was like an idea that was brought up by myself on Sunday anyway, and I do have a very particular film I want to cover anyway for tonight's episode, again being the month of Halloween. But that, as I said, it's only just for this month during October, and then after that, it would just be just a regular Mood of the Nation episode kind of thing. So we'll definitely see from there. We will definitely see from there. So you're not as moody as me, Chief. Oh dear, Anglo. Oh dear. Hopefully you've not had a bad day or anything like that at all. So, but we'll hopefully you may feel better throughout the show with that. But we'll definitely see from there. So. Get my sandwich real quick. Been up since early myself. An early night might be good. Yeah, I've always said to myself I should go to my bed early, maybe 10 or 11 o'clock, but me being me, I usually tend to stay up pretty late, maybe around about, say, like 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning, which I know that's not a good idea, especially if you're up early, like, say, 4:30, just so that you're up and all prepared to go to work and all of that. But that's just me. I tend to go to my bed really late. I should maybe give it a try. I have actually done that a couple of times where I went to my bed around about between 11 to 11:30, and I noticed that I actually do. I think I would actually go to my bed quite early at that time anyway. But maybe I'll give it a try tonight. I'm not entirely too sure, but we'll see from there. So we'll see from there. Let's have a look and see who's in the chat just now. Of course, again, familiar faces I'm seeing at the moment, which is really good to see. Really appreciate you guys being here as per usual. Let me see here. Of course, I did mention Gammon Sandwich. I think did I also mention anyone else in the chat? No, I think it was just him with that, but all right. But anyway, tonight we have Budgie Burger with a question. Have you seen the robot cop dogs? How long before they are fitted with tasers? I've not seen or heard of that, Budgie. That's quite interesting. Then again, because of how rapidly, increasingly better technology is becoming, I wouldn't be surprised if something like that were to come awry in our society. And of course, with tasers being attached to them, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe later on down the line that they'd be implemented in some way. So, Corona, how you doing? I want a new world. Well, I think a lot of people are feeling like that because of the current situation, as I mentioned earlier on. But I'm sure it can't be that bad with that. But maybe that's just me. I'm trying to be like too positive or anything like that. Amanda, how you doing? Thank you very much for watching. Let's see, Kenny Hinney, how you doing? Thank you very much for watching, as per usual. English Weather, good evening to you too. Thank you very much. Streaky Bacon, just in time for Moody's cool intro. So you are. Thank you very much. We have Rory Herbert, hail to the chief. Well, thank you very much, Rory, as per usual. Thank you for your support. Tony Radley, evening gang, evening to you too. Toby, thank you very much for watching, as per usual. Really appreciate that. Tony Smith is in the house with us tonight. Thank you very much for watching, Tony. Really appreciate that. Exiled Viking, evening Chief Moody in chat, evening to you too. Exiled, I really appreciate you being here. Let me see here. Britain 2066. Good evening, brothers and sisters. Well, good evening to you too, Britain. I really appreciate you being here. Let me see here. Dr. Jimmy, evening, Chief and people 14. Evening to you too, Dr. Jimmy. I really appreciate you being here as per usual. Kitchen Skillet, how you doing? Thank you very much for watching as well. I see there's 41 people watching the show now, which is, I can't believe we're already 10 minutes into the show, but that's really good. So, Rigor Mortis, evening to you too. Thank you very much for watching. Art of War, is that meant to be no way? I don't know. Welcome to the end. Well, thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate you being here. Of course, a reaction to the intro. Hey, the fawns. Henry Hill, how you doing? Thank you very much for watching the show as well. I also mentioned What Tyler 1381, even to you too. Thank you very much for watching the show as well. I think that's really all it for now. I think did I mention Henry Hill? Henry Hill, if I haven't mentioned you already, even to you, welcome to the show. And also Ragnar Ironspear, thank you very much for watching the show as well. Really appreciate that. I didn't know there was a 6 o'clock in the morning. I think we all don't know that. Well, then again, I think people would know that if they get up early in the morning for work or any other reason for that. But Roscoe, how you doing? Hey, Chief. Hello, for Dundee's. Sir, love the show. Missed a few episodes due to work, etc. That's not to worry about, Roscoe. I appreciate you being here anyway. And obviously, work is much more important than watching someone like myself, like a complete stranger on the internet, talking about all kinds of things like political or social commentary or anything like that at all. But nonetheless, I appreciate you being here, Roscoe. I really appreciate you being here. So, Daniel Archer, how you doing? Thank you very much for watching. Mark's Friday video should be good this week. It's the full interview he did with that paper. Oh, okay. That's going to be really interesting. That actually see if I can check that out myself and see it from there. So let me see. Adam Darnell, hey everyone. Hope I haven't missed much. You have not missed, not really missed much of anything, Adam, but you're just in time, sir. I think that's really all it for now in terms of people in the chat. There's a lot more comments coming through. Let me see here. 22 likes, 38 in the chat. Smash that like button, folks. Indeed, Ragnar, thank you very much for pointing that out. Please hit that like button and please share the stream around to other platforms if you can. That would be very appreciative. Early to bed, early to rise, make you wealthy and wise. Fair enough, Amanda. I'll see if I can try and get to my bed early tonight, and we shall see. We shall see. So, Chief Winnie, when you get older, bed at midnight and up early just won't fly anymore. Yeah, I think I'm starting to notice that when I was at work past couple of days. It's actually not a good idea to stay up really late and get up really early in the morning. It's really not. So I'll definitely see if I can give it a try to go to my bed early, and we'll definitely see from there. So I'll even let you guys know if I feel a lot better or anything like that at all once I do give that a try. But even then, I'm going to be working tomorrow, and I think I'm still doing overtime on Saturday. And then, of course, I'm finally off on Sunday. Oh, that's another thing too, by the way, which I'll get into just a second. Actually, I'll continue on with the comments real quick. Say my name, Corona, Arona, Rona, Ona, Na, There you go. Linda Hunter, hello. How you doing? Hello, folk. I'd be lurking, then sleeping. It's the wee hour. No worries, Linda. Thank you very much for watching the show. Really appreciate that. And even if you do fall asleep during the episode, you can always watch it with like a rerun once it's fully up and running on my channel, of course. Let me see. James Smith, good evening all. Good evening to you too, James. Thank you very much for watching the show. Indigenous Advocate, I missed 10 minutes again. Not to worry, you haven't really missed much anyway. You're pretty much in spur of the moment kind of a thing. But Callus, Callus Saxon. I don't know if I can. Sorry, I don't know if I can ever pronounce that name right. But if I don't pronounce it right, my apologies for that. But anyway, your comment reads: the dog-shaped ones are the ones they're showing. It's what they're doing in private with humanoid ones that worried me. I see. Briton 2066. I noticed Rongan Griffin reckons he knows the location of the upcoming conference. Asked it much. I am not entirely too knowledgeable about that. To be honest with you, I think just a little quick point about that when it comes to comments like that. I would just say, just ignore these people. These people do absolutely nothing for nationalism. They're basically a bunch of jealous group of twats who just want to completely ruin PA for whatever fucking reason it may be. They're just people who are trying to get in the way of what we want to do, which is preserving our own people and the future of our country. So those people making comments like that, just ignore them. At the end of the day, they only just doing it just for attention. It's the same thing why, what the fuck's her name again? Jada Francine or something, what her name was, making the comment about how PA is like filled with incels and all of that. Meanwhile, if you watch the PA Scotland Fitness Club video, I mean, you can see it was the polar opposite of that. So again, these people, they do absolutely nothing for PA, nothing. They actually do absolutely nothing for nationalism in general. I would just advise everyone to just simply ignore these people. They do fuck all for the movement, and they're just basically only just in the way of trying to achieve our actual goals. The most important thing here to me is that we need to preserve our own people and the future of our nation and all of that. That I think is way more important than focusing on a bunch of fucking LARPers who think that talking smack about PA and think that they can just get ahead of anyone or anything like that at all. So hopefully that may answer the question with that. So just honestly, just ignore them. They're basically just wasteful idiots, in my opinion. So there you go. Christopher Webster, how you doing? Thank you very much for watching the show. Ethan Petrus, I've covered you already. Indigenous, thank you very much. Imagine a robot dog getting fruity with one's leg. Horrifying. I think that could be something very unimaginable, to be quite honest with you. But anyway, Hightower 005, evening to you too. Thank you very much for watching the show, good sir. Thank you very much. 6 a.m. is a bloody lion. I know it should be a lion. So, Steve Double M or MM. Good evening, all. Good evening to you too, Steve. Really appreciate you being here. On your feet, yo to you too. English Sailor is with us tonight. Thank you very much for watching the show. Really appreciate that. Very kind, Chief. Even to you too. No worries, Henry Hill. I'm on time, so you are on your feet. Happy it is the 14th of October. I've completely almost forgot about that. So, which Fed hit the dislike button? There could be multiple people that may dislike the show. And you know what? It doesn't really bother me that much if people dislike the show, because here's the thing with people hitting the dislike button, regardless if it's the like or dislike button, right? It ultimately still counts as being part of the video analytics. So basically, they didn't do shit other than wasting their time, basically. So I appreciate people hitting the like button, and for people that hitting the dislike button, more power to you, I guess. If you don't like the show, then that's totally fine. That's on you with that. Enjoy something else in the meantime. That's all I have to say with that. So there you go. Hot bath, clean sheets, sleep like a baby. Whoa, I'm more of a shower person to begin with. I'm very impatient when it comes to taking baths, because just the idea of putting on a bath and you have to wait until it's completely ready to get into a bath, whereas a shower, you just turn it on, get in there, and then come back out with clean clothes or pajamas or whatever, and then you're just ready for the rest of the evening, whether it's going to bed, sleeping, or anything like that at all. But that's just me, though. But Noel, even to you too. Thank you very much for watching the show. Can't wait to hear Colette's recording of The Rat Journalist. I cannot wait for that either. That would be really interesting. Johnny Dangerous. Evening shall be lurking. I'm the only English bloke where I work. No worries, Johnny. Thank you very much for watching the show. And if you're new here, please hit the subscribe button and also hitting the like button on the stream as well. I would gladly appreciate that. Or the dislike button if you want. So, but more ideally, maybe the like button, in my opinion. So, I'm sitting in a coffee shop with a headphone and watching a group of colorful clothed snowflakes, one female jogger and the two white girls. Maybe I should recommend your chat for them to listen to. I mean, if you want. Maybe with the two white lassies, maybe it might encourage them to maybe watch the show a lot more and maybe get into ethno nationalism, but I don't know, maybe, but we'll see. The BNP girl, I think she wasn't with the BNP. She used to, in terms of Jada, I think she was from, not For Britain, that's Anne-Marie Waters, Britain First, I might be completely wrong with that, but she used to be a member of Britain First, and now she's with another group or party, but I think that's where she was from anyway, but anyway, Frosty. Well, you never know. If you don't agree with PA, why ruin it? Fuck off and find your own movement. Exactly. Very great point, Streaky Bacon. Very great point. the bow and arrow killings in Norway was an ethnic. I've heard murmurs about that. It's something I don't want to talk about just yet, mainly because I don't know too much about it. I have heard people talking about it maybe here and there, but I don't know the full length or the full context of the story as of yet. So I'll probably have a look into that more, and then maybe I'll get back to you guys on my actual opinions on that. But at the moment, sorry, excuse me, I just had dinner earlier on. I don't really have an opinion on that, so I can't really give one. But if I do know more about that, then I'll let you guys know. So anyway, let me see here. Just seeing the comments real quick. So, geez, more people coming in. Let's see. Call us. Right. Okay. Fair enough. Thank you very much for that, sir. But thank you very much. Carl Jackson, the guy in Norway with the bow and arrow, was from Denmark. I think the news said he was a convert, though. I see. Well, I'll definitely have a look at that much more and see from there. So, Wolf said, Chief, ignore the drama queens. Well, there you go. So, English Rose is with us. Late again, sorry. No worries, English Rose. I appreciate you being here anyway. Thank you very much. Geez, a white convert done the bow killings. Again, I don't know really too much about that, but we'll come back to that at some point, and we'll see from there. So, anyway, so enough. I'm almost half an hour in. Sorry, guys. I'm just too busy looking at the chat, just seeing what everyone's saying. So, my apologies for that. So, I think your stream would traumatize the little snowflake darlings. I think it would. I think it would. It's like, oh, fascist. It's like, okay. Like, all right, cool. Let me see here. Yeah, she was Britain first. It was Britain first, right? I got that right the first time. Cool. No worries. Let me see. So, cool. He found... Oh, God. Oh, dear. Anyway, let's move on to the first topic at hand here. I got an article that I just came across today earlier on. I haven't read it, so it'll be the first time I'll be going through it, of course, with you guys as well. Or alternatively, I can maybe cover the advertisement first, which is is a new advertisement from John Lewis, and it's on Twitter, but the tweet is I can't remember exactly what it said, but the person who made the tweet about the video pretty much said that, oh, nothing about this comes off as propaganda or anything like that at all anyway. So, but we'll have a look at it and see from there. So, I like being called fascist. It's funny. Bro, where can we find you when you become yeeted from YouTube? That's a good question on your feed. Thank you very much for asking that. Well, of course, alternatively, I do have Odyssey. Now, I don't really upload as much on Odyssey. I have 11 episodes of Mood of the Nation on my Odyssey channel already, but there's also other videos there if you want to check it out. What I'll do actually just now is, I think I've got like 93 followers on my Odyssey channel anyway, so I would recommend, if there's a time where my channel does get yeeted off of YouTube for whatever reason may be, maybe it's because of the fact that YouTube is completely gay when it comes to taking down channels for no reason whatsoever, then I definitely would recommend you following me on Odyssey. Let me just copy and paste my Odyssey link, and I'll post it in the chat just now. And there we go. So again, anything happens to my YouTube, please follow me on Odyssey as my alternative channel to go to. And even then, if my channel gets yeeted off of YouTube, I'll probably start streaming on Odyssey after that. But for now, I'll still be streaming on YouTube, even though Mark and Laura and everyone else from PA have said that, oh, it's probably ideal to maybe start live streaming on Odyssey or DLive or anything like that. I refuse to live stream on DLive because supposedly DLive are very sketchy when it comes to certain content creators. That being said, but Odyssey seems a very promising platform, so I'll definitely be streaming on Odyssey if my YT channel does get yeeted off at some point in the future. But in the meantime, please follow me on Odyssey for more future content or anything like that at all. So there we go. Let me see here. Yeah, even on your feet said "fuck D Live." Well, there you go. That John Lewis advert is just cringeworthy. A pubescent child dressed up as a girl jumping around, and an agenda being pushed right there. Well, that's something we're just gonna. Let me see. Private message Telegram too. You know what? Actually, let me also post a link for my Telegram channel as well, just in case for people who haven't followed me on Telegram as well. I'll just see if I can get that up in just a second, because I think besides YouTube, if you want to follow me on other platforms, I would definitely recommend. Actually, you know what? Alternatively, let me just post this in the stream. Hold on. What I'll do, folks, is if you haven't done so already, I'll post the what's it called? The in links. No, it's like a. Hold on, sorry, one sec. linkedtr.ee. So basically, it's a website that has all the links that I'm in. So all the platforms I'm on. So basically, Odyssey, Trovo Live, Telegram, Gab, YouTube, Twitter, you name it. So what I'll do is I'll post this in the chat. And if you want to follow me on other platforms, just use that link there, and then you'll see all the platforms I'm on. And please follow me on all those platforms. Again, just in case if something happens to my YouTube and all of that. So it would be much appreciated. Make it a copy paste. Thanks, buddy. No worries on your feet. You're very welcome with that. Odyssey is like a knackered Betamax. I know maybe it's still on its infinite stages. Hold on one second. Obviously, it does have intermittent issues. Yeah, it is. I think it's still in its infancy stage, but I do hope that one day it does get a lot better throughout regarding to that. So, thank you, bro. Sorry for disturbing the program. Not to worry, on your feet. I appreciate people asking me where can they find me besides YouTube, of course, because like we said, YouTube is becoming more and more left-leaning and more biased towards the left. So at any stage, if something happens to my channel, you could easily follow me on other platforms in the meantime. So my apologies if I sound like I'm repeating myself here, but of course I think it's important to mention that. So English Rose, I'm following you on Odyssey and Telegram. Are you scared yet? No. No, maybe not yet. Maybe not yet, to be honest with you. So yeah, Odyssey buffers like a child of cousin. God, oh my. Guys. I only come here for your streams at the moment. Well, that's totally fair enough. No risk whatsoever. Right, I think what we'll do is I'll start off with the John Lewis advertisement. We'll just cover that first of all, and then we'll move on to the article, which is from the BBC, of course. But before I do that, I'm just also just going to put my bedroom light on, because I've noticed that I don't know if it's because it's becoming a lot. It's getting later on during October, and it's getting a lot darker. But it's just now just past 6:30. I noticed that it's getting a lot darker now. So if you bear with me just now, of course you still hear me while I'm speaking. I'm just going to put my bedroom light on, and I'll be back in just a moment. So there we go. Should have had that on before the show started, but hey, it's all done and dusted now. So there we go. Right. Okay. And then once I'm back on here, which I already am, I'm going to. If I actually need to get my water, and then once I get all that sorted, then we'll get started on reviewing this advertisement from John Lewis. Now, this tweet, from what I can see here, was published on the 12th of October. So, of course, just about 2 days ago, obviously. So let's have a look at this video. This video, I think, is about a minute long, or just under that, but we'll have a look at that just now. And I'll bring my microphone a bit closer. There we go. Let me see here. And then I'll share the screen real quick for everyone to see. Chief Moody lives in a mansion. I wished. I really wish. James Hayworth, hello. Thank you very much for watching the show. What have I missed? You don't really miss much, to be honest. It's just me blathering on and talking to the good people in the chat. But we're just going to get into reviewing a advertisement from John Lewis, which I cannot wait for the life of me. So let's have a look here by sharing the screen. Share audio, of course, because we'll need to hear it as well. I heard you can live stream on this new site called Getter. I think I've heard about that Jojo Gizmo, but I don't know if I've actually seen the website myself, but I can have a look at some point. So, Muttuck, good people, where? Oh, I see you guys are good people, but but then again, obviously this being the internet, but again, that's just that's beside the point. So, let me see if I can get to this part of the screen. There we go, and then I'll get to the video. Back to the beginning, and of course, full screen. There we go. It's for home insurance, John Lewis and partners. Right, let's have a look here. Again, a minute long. We'll just go through it now. So here we go. 3, 2, 1. Oh Jesus! I hope I won't get hit by copyright. Oh my God. Oh my God. I mean, oh sweet Jesus. We're just past 30 seconds in, and already this is just pure cringe. It's just I can't. Oh my God, I can't. I just can't be. I can't be bothered with this stuff anymore when it comes to this whole political agenda. I really can't. It's just so in your face about it. Like they're not even hiding it anymore. Let's have a look at this part here with the mother. It's just stunning and brave, yeah. It's just like Timmy, you just knocked over the war. Fuck you, mom. I'm a tranny now. It's just like, oh God. Let life happen. What? John Lewis. Oh my God. Yeah. Wait. I'll just let it play as well, but like kind of in the background. We'll just kind of go over it kind of again. But it's just, I mean, what can really be said, really? It's just the same tired old song and dance. It's clearly a political agenda being thrown right at your face. You have this little boy who, when they were filming this, right, you can guarantee that the boy doesn't really understand like the whole context of what the producers of this advertisement were making, kind of thing. Well, obviously the producers know what they're doing. They're trying to make some kind of political statement, like, "Oh, we're so progressive, we're stunning and brave. We're destroying the gender norms and all of that, trying to destroy the family unit." I mean, you can kind of see that in the clip here that the boy is wrecking the entire house. But don't worry, he's all free, and he's finally found his true calling in life. He's not like a boy. He's actually a woman, or whatever the case may be. And it's disgusting. It really is disgusting. You can imagine the boy not, as I said, not really fully understanding the full context of what this is meant to be about. And to me, that just makes it even more reprehensible. It really is it's just incredibly reprehensible. It's just, I cannot stand it. And of course, another point, this is something I've kind of noticed as well regarding to these advertisements when they're trying to make some kind of bullshit political statement, right? I don't know if it's just me or if anyone else is in the chat, but you'll notice that when it comes to these types of advertisements, they always tend to have like white families going through these types of changes, whether you have a boy dressing up like a girl or like gay or whatever, or anything like that at all. You never really see anything like this kind of political propaganda with any kind of non-white people. Like you wouldn't really see this if it was like a black family in this type of advertisement, or an Asian family, or anything like that. I wonder if maybe that's me looking way too deep into it, but I wouldn't be surprised if maybe that's just part of the bigger agenda of trying to destroy the traditional family unit, and of course trying to dismantle the gender norms of when it comes to white families and whatnot. It's just absolutely pure, utter disgusting. It really is absolutely disgusting. Even this part of regarding to it, it's like, Timmy, you knocked over the glasses. Shut up, Mom. I'm a tranny now. It's like, I can't. I just can't. We'll put an end to that video with that. I know that was relatively short, but Jesus Christ. Yeah, turn it off, Chief. Yeah, it's like, here we go. Yeah, no black people in that ad. There never really ever is any black people in these types of advertisements. It's always white people you'll see in these kinds of advertisements regarding to that. It's the only time diversity stops being a thing. Exactly. I wonder why that may be. I really wonder why that may be. So, let me see here. It's the ad they did with Elton John was bad enough. Which ad was that, Amanda? Because maybe we can have a look at that. Is that a fairly recent advertisement, Amanda, with Elton John, or is that like an older advertisement? Might have a look at that at some point, or maybe even during the show as well, before we move on to the next topic. I think they mostly do it because people will be outraged, spread it, and they get more bang for their buck. So it's all about the making the money aspect of it. Of course, it would be about that. On the bright side, this stuff is now so in your face. It's even annoying non-political people now too. And well, yeah, that's definitely a good point. A lot of people are tending to like maybe wake up to this a lot more. So, what the fuck is a boy dressed a girl got anything to do with insurance? Well, fuck if I know, Henry, to be honest with you. But again, it's all part of that political statement. It's all part of this political trying to set a political agenda regarding to that. Oops. From Garlic Gorilla, how you doing? They'll have the dad arriving and kissing him on the lips next to... Oh, God. Yeah, I wouldn't be... I mean, obviously they never went that far with it when it comes to the advertisement, but if push comes to shove, it probably will get to that point because they're trying to normalize pedophilia into our society now, which is absolutely disgusting. I mean, just like... I may have talked about this on the show before, or even other streams, but that film that was released on Netflix, I think it was a French film, Cuties. I think that was meant to be the start of something far more sinister at work, trying to glorify pedophilia regarding to that. Now, of course, I've not seen the film itself, and I have no interest in seeing it whatsoever. I think it's complete tripe regarding to the film Cuties. But I have heard a lot of people talking about the film, especially those who try to defend it and say such gay shit like, oh, but it's meant to be showcasing like artistic merit, and it's showing the woes of society and how our children are being exploited against. But which I love that comment, by the way. Like the film itself is actually a commentary on the whole exploitation of young girls regarding to like dances like that when it comes to the film Cuties, which, how can you honestly say that when you're part of the problem by having the girls actually do those types of moves, whether it was twerking or anything like that at all? It really completely defeats your whole entire commentary when you become part of the problem when you're actually doing that yourself. You know what I mean? Where it's like they want to try and make this kind of like bullshit commentary of like all the evils of society and our children being exploited against, but then they become part of the problem by having the children act in those types of like moves and whatnot during the film. It's disgusting. It really is absolutely disgusting. What, no diversity? He should have been God almighty, Jojo. But no, you're right. I mean, it's shocking there's not enough diversity within the advertisement. I mean, after all, it's the current year. It's 2021. We need to be more diverse than ever, guys. So He's going on the naughty step. Well, maybe not. He's probably going to be hailed as like stunning and brave. Like, oh, I'm so proud of you. I'm not going to call you Timmy. I'll call you Timothy because you want to be looked at as a girl. But then probably the next minute you'll go back to as a boy. But we're so proud of you, Timothy. You're so stunning and brave. Oh, looks like degenerate behavior to me. Exactly that angle. Exactly that. I hope he grows up to hate his pathetic, pretentious parents for allowing him to do this. Well, probably. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he wouldn't hate his parents or anything like that. So, Celtic Britain, how you doing? Thank you very much for watching this stream. So, to end child sexual exploitation, you sexually exploit children, as recommended by Savile Inc. Exactly, English. Exactly. Exactly that when it comes to that film, Cuties. It's completely it's just so blatant, like the complete double standard of that with regard to that film, Cuties, whether it be the filmmakers themselves trying to defend it or people like critics or anyone like that trying to defend it itself. It's just so transparent with regard to that. So let me see. Yes, that's the first ad I have seen where there has not had a mixed race family, which is really surprising. Let me see here. I've just downvoted it. Hi, Chief in chat. No worries, Durham. Thank you very much. It's all getting a bit dark. Ain't you got no jolly banter? Chief Moody, Ashanti, maybe? Well, yeah. Well, anyway. Exactly, no name. You don't criticize pedophilia by making pedo porn. Exactly that. In fact, it kind of reminds me of a film. We're going to talk about movies just a couple of minutes here. Has anyone ever seen the film? It's an old horror film back in the 80s called Cannibal Holocaust. For those that don't know, Cannibal Holocaust was a very notorious film that came out in the 1980s. I think it was 1980 or 1979, but it's an Italian-made horror film about a group of, it's basically like it's not really found footage, even though it's completely fictionalized, but at the time it came out as like, oh no, this is a real movie. This is based on a real case, but of course it turned out to be completely fictionalized. But there was a point in the film of Cannibal Holocaust where it does come off as like, because I heard many people talking about that film as like, oh, it's one of the most disturbing, one of the most violent, grotesque, goriest films ever made. But when I watch it, it's just basically a pretentious, like artsy-fartsy type of film, because it's a film that tries to make some kind of like commentary on the media and how we sensationalize horrible tragedies, and of course we exploit that. And so obviously it's one of those films where it's criticizing exploitation, right? But then in the film Cannibal Holocaust, not only are they criticizing the concept of exploitation, but they have a porn actor in the film as like a not like a leading actor, but one of the actors in the film who was, when I say he's a porn star, I think he was like an ex-porn star, but he left the industry after that and actually go into the film industry. So I think it's incredibly ironic, that a film like Cannibal Holocaust is a film that's trying to critique exploitation, but then to have an actor in the film who was part of the porn industry at one time. It's just, again, it's going back to what we're talking about the film Cuties. It's that whole blatant double standard. You can criticize this, but then have someone or something that's connected to that thing you're criticizing type of idea. Because it just makes you look like a complete hypocrite. Like a massive hypocrite, in fact. Even Shoonhead trashed it. Well, if I don't want to talk about Shoonhead since she fucking blocked me on Twitter, I mean, there you go. It was an older ad a few years ago, but about him getting his first piano and be what you want to be exact. Puke. Fair enough. I might have actually seen the advertisement, but I'm not entirely too sure. But anyway, I can't believe that shite is still on Netflix. Well, Netflix will defend it regardless, because again, they see it as like it's an art house film that should be respected among peers. Like, fuck off. Woodlander, hello. Thank you very much for watching the show. Really appreciate you being here, sir. Really appreciate you being here. I had a car like that kid. It kept slipping into the wrong gear. Oh dear. Straight down the boxing club. There you go. Who needs insurance? That little bastard is going to be paying off the damages for the rest of his life. If I were his dad, exactly that. There you go. Let me see. Okay, perfect. Let's have a look here. What I'll just do real quick is that I haven't had a TV for years. Yeah, I don't really watch. Well, I might have said this in the past before on the show, but yeah, I don't really watch TV as much anymore. I tend to watch stuff on the internet, whether it's YouTube or even more recently, I've started using Odyssey a lot more. Even though I'm not watching stuff live, I tend to watch stuff that's already been uploaded onto people's channels anyway, but that's just me. So, yes, me and my mates watched it just because it was banned. It was so bad. It's really, really bad. Don't watch it. Trust me. Yeah, I mean, of course, the other thing too when it comes to Cannibal Holocaust is that it's a film that's very notorious when it comes to its content because it got a lot of trouble by a lot of animal rights activists. Because there's actual scenes in the film, and even to this day, the BBFC refuses to show the film completely uncut because there's actual scenes in the film of Cannibal Holocaust where the actors actually kill off actual animals, being turtles, snakes, or any other type of animal. I don't know if they did it with birds or anything like that at all, but there was, you could say, actual animal cruelty in that film. So if you love animals, so you don't like to see animals being harmed in any way, shape, or form, don't watch Cannibal Holocaust. Even though, again, it's not completely uncut because obviously for those reasons, but I still don't recommend watching it anyway with that. But again, that's just me with that. So, but there we go. Let me have a look and see. Cannibal Holocaust. All the good names are taken. Yeah. Well, there you go. So, cool. Let me just get into the next topic. Before I do that, just have a quick drink of my water. I actually cannot believe we're already 7 o'clock in already. That's crazy, that. Nice. Well, there's an old saying, time flies when you're having fun, so there we go. They should have ended the advert with him kicking his mommy in the oh God, his dad in the ghoulies as he arrives home. Well, I mean, I'm surprised that, well, maybe that would be considered too violent, but who knows. Fit a name, as Colette talked yesterday and posted today something sobering, constantly changing numbers, Holocaust. All right, okay. Let me see here. Okay, perfect. I'll just move on to the next topic, which of course will be the news article by the BBC. Now, I'm not entirely too sure if any of you in the chat have seen this article already, but like I said, this was something that came to my attention earlier on while I was at work. Of course, during breaks and whatnot, but I'll just bring this up just now and we can have a look at this together. Let me see here. Post that here. Chief Moody, what is your opinion on British grown weed? Many of our people smoke it. Should we criminalize them or just ban imports? Let the farmers grow it. What do you think? That's a good question because that's all to do with when it comes to weed. Now, when it comes to that, it's quite a topic to begin with that, isn't it? Because I know people can be very divisive when it comes to the topic of weed, but in all honesty, and this is just my honest to God opinion on this, in my personal opinion with that, seeing the evidence that it's not entirely like a harmful drug, although the more you, again, this is just something that I've seen with personal experience of mine. Weed, sure, not everybody. It doesn't affect everybody with that. It may affect maybe certain groups of people. Some people may like it. Some people may not be for them, but they still want to take it anyway with that. I think if people, it's just like with tobacco and alcohol, right? If people want to smoke weed and they use it responsibly, they don't use it to, like, say, smoking like constantly all the time with that. Maybe as like maybe now and then type of thing. As only if they're the ones growing it within, say, their like house and use it for their own purposes or anything like that at all. And of course within their own country and not accept exports. I think it should be okay when it comes to that, but that's my honest to God opinion with that. Now, just going back to my past a little bit when I was a bit younger. Well, it's not like something I would do regularly, but of course I smoked a bit of weed back in the day. The problem was with me was that whenever I smoked it, I get completely whitey regarding to that. If you all know the turn of phrase, but basically what it means is that I would be completely sick after smoking it because, and I know it's something you're not supposed to do with this, but I would smoke it like an actual regular cigarette kind of thing, and of course that would make me completely go completely whitey after that. So it's not for me. I've tried it before. Of course, it's definitely not for me by any means regarding to that. But if people use it responsibly with that, then I think it should be okay when it comes to that. But I would say please don't smoke it in front of or around your kids or anything like that at all with that. So, because again, I'm not like a parent myself, but I wouldn't want my kids to grow up, smoking that type of stuff or anything like that. I would want them to grow up to be responsible, well successful adults or anything like that at all in this case. Smoking with drink, no. Well, I think what I'm trying to say here when it comes to weed is that if people want to, I know this may come off as like a libertarian kind of viewpoint, which I've always been kind of libertarian when it comes to weed, because again, seeing the stats and all the kinds of evidence behind it. If people want to smoke weed, as long as they do it responsibly and all of that, that's completely fine when it comes to that. So, but again, that's just my opinion on that. Nothing against it. I wouldn't take it myself, but if people want to have it, that's completely fine. I know. Again, there may be some people in the chat may have a very different viewpoint, and that's completely fine. Like Steve here, for example, no one that smokes weed has a bright future. It's called dope for a reason. I've seen many people throw their future down the toilet because of weed. And I've seen stuff like that too. Again, not everybody. Some people do smoke it, but they still are quite successful at some things, being worker or maybe social status or anything like that at all. And yeah, the other side of that, it does affect people badly when it comes to not really being bothered with anything or anything like that at all. So I wouldn't recommend, to be honest with you, I wouldn't recommend people smoking it anyway, but if they want to, that's entirely up to them with that. And if they smoke it responsibly, that's entirely up to them when it comes to that. So I hope I may have answered the question with that when it comes to weed. I know it can be a very divisive topic here when it comes to nationalism, but I'm very in the middle when it comes to weed. That's the only topic I would say I'm very in the middle of regarding to that. So anyway, let me see here. Oh yeah, sorry. I was just going to get into the article itself again from the BBC. Now, like I said, I don't know if anyone have seen this anyway, but again, let's have a look here. I know it may be a very downer type of story, but we'll have a look at this anyway. So, Kian Tordoff, 3 charged after Bradford teen stabbed to death. This was uploaded 7 hours ago. For Bradford died after being found stabbed in the city centre on Sunday. 3 people have been charged with murder after a teenager was stabbed to death in Bradford. Kian, I hope I pronounced that right, Kian Tordoff, age 19, died after he was found by police with serious injuries on John Street on Sunday morning. And here we get to the next part here, the culprits themselves. Arbaz Khan, the name kind of like sounds pretty familiar. Well, not familiar in the sense of, we've heard of this person before, but what I mean is like the type of name that you would hear regarding these type of crimes. Age 21, Aizaz Khan, age 26, both of Yew Tree Avenue, Bradford, and a 16-year-old boy have been charged with his murder. They are also charged with attempted murder in connection with the stabbing of a 19-year-old boy in the same incident. All three are due to appear before magistrates in Bradford. Oh, is that it? No, that can't be it. The BBC is not responsible for the content of external. What's that? Right. Okay. Great. Well, that seems to be the end of the article. I thought there'd be a lot more than that. Hold on. Surely there must be more than that. Well, anyway, that's pretty much the end of the article. But again, here we have another case example of a white boy being a victim of a minority attack. Now, we don't know exactly the full reason as to why the boys killed this boy to begin with, but don't be surprised it will be like another racial attack, because maybe there may be some context behind. Well, again, I'm not trying to defend the case or anything like that at all. Obviously, what happened to this boy is horrible, and I hope that the culprits themselves completely rot in hell for all I care. It's just obviously we don't know the full extent of what happened, but for me personally, I wouldn't be surprised if this was like another racial attack. They attacked him, this boy, Kian, because of the fact that he was white. I wouldn't be surprised if that were to come out during the court case. But we'll need to see from there. And hopefully something does come out of it, like maybe later on, like another article or anything like that at all. And if it does, I'll definitely cover that in a future episode of Mood of the Nation. So I know that may seem very abrupt regarding to that article, but we'll definitely see in the future. So, but yeah, I do see there is definitely a lot of attacks similar to this recently. I mean, especially towards our people. And there has been a lot more a knife attack or stabbing attacks as of late, which is very worrying indeed. It's a BBC article. They won't be any more than that written. Yeah, I can imagine, because of the culprits involved. They're like, whoa, this is going to destroy the diversity narrative. We can't exactly, have this all coming out, anything like that. But anyway, it's just like, oops, sorry, wrong one. It's just like Chris all over again. If it was the other way around, it would be all over the mainstream media. Exactly that. In fact, even another example of that, Amanda, we covered this on the Sunday's episode. What was the boy's name? Oh my God, I can't believe I'm forgetting the name. It was the black boy who was part of who injured like a couple of pupils or school kids, and also like a teacher in America. I think it was in Texas, from what I remember. It was like Simpkins or something like that. And of course, the black boy got out scot-free. I don't know how they managed to pay the $75,000 bond, I think it was. But the point I'm trying to make here is that it's another case example of that, in which case that there's clearly an anti-white agenda being set, and of course, a bunch of minorities attacking and killing a white person. It would never be all over the news. They may cover it, maybe a snippet of it, but then that's it. But of course, was it Amanda? Sorry, I don't know if I just read the comment. Yeah, it was Amanda. Sorry. As Amanda pointed out, if the shoe was on the other foot, if it was a bunch of, if the races were reversed, if it was a bunch of white boys attacking a minority, or even a black boy for that matter, it would be blasted all over the mainstream media. We would never hear the end of it. We would never hear the end of it. It's always a gang of people against one victim, never one or on one. I know, because the people attacking these people in groups like that, attacking one person, they have no sense of honor whatsoever regarding to that. So no shred of honor whatsoever. They're always attacking packs, attacking one person. All part of the plan, sir, and another tentacle in the hook-nosed octopus. Well, there you go. Exactly that. Good evening, Thank the Lord. How you doing? Thank you very much for watching the show. Let me see here. Things have come to a pretty pass when we need to carry out a crusade in our own island. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I can agree with that. Advocate, one sec. As a mother of two sons, it is really scary. I can imagine, Amanda. I can really imagine that. Very worrying times at the moment. Very worrying times. That's why the white men invented. Okay. Ah, dear. Let me see here. Well, when it comes to the boy, this boy here, Kian Tordov, what I would ask people in the chat, if you can all put in like a flower emoji as a way of like giving respect to the boy who has died because of this horrible incident. I would say to do that as a way of respecting the dead in this case. So guys, can you all put like a flower emoji in the chat just to pay your respects to this boy, Kian Tordov, sorry, as a way of remembering him after this. Let me see here. Yeah, but everyone's doing it. Again, I really appreciate that, guys. That's really awesome if you all to do that. Let me see. Perfect. There was a comment I was just going to read as well. Hold on a sec. Let me see. Don't expect Hope Not Hate to mention it. They are too busy supporting Afghans, etc. Yeah, of course they would be. Let me see here. The system and the media hate us. Don't feed the beast. Exactly that. Exactly that. I see a lot more comments with the flower emojis. Again, I really appreciate that, guys. That's awesome if you all to do that. Yeah, rest in peace. Thank you very much, Noel. Thank you very much indeed. Let me see here. Yep. Excellent. Again, excellent. Thank you all very much for doing that. Really appreciate you all in the chat. Really appreciate that. Right then, so we covered the advertisement. We covered the article, as short and sweet as that was. And we're now in the 7 o'clock, well, just past 7 o'clock at this point. It's now approaching, now it is 5 past 7. I think what I'll do is, and I'll give this segment a try. Hopefully, this may be successful for the episode tonight. Like I said at the start of the show, and even this past Sunday episode, I was going to talk about or do like a short review / discussion with myself, of course, and maybe you guys in the chat as well, if you want to, about a certain horror film I either have watched or remembered. What's with the roses? It's just what we were talking about just now with the BBC article about Kian Tordov, who was tragically killed by 3 minority men or boys. And it basically is a way of paying respect to Kian Tordov, who has lost his life because of these scumbags. As a way of paying respect, Indigenous advocate. That's the idea of the flower emojis or the rose emojis in the chat. So there you go. But anyway, sorry. I was going to talk about a certain horror film because, again, being it's the month of October, this month is all to do with Halloween and all of that. So hopefully this segment may be successful, and I can maybe do that in future episodes for this month. Again, only just for this month during October because, again, it's Halloween and what season and all of that. So let's get into that just now, and let me see what you guys think, either after the show with putting down a comment down below once it's fully up on the channel, or even writing a message on Telegram and tell me what you think of this. So let me just get into the film I want to discuss tonight, again, being like a horror film related when it comes to that. Let me see here. If I will do Indigenous Advocate, hold on, let me just put the link in the chat for you, just so you can have a look for yourself, because I don't know if maybe you've missed the segment. Hold on. Here you go, Indigenous Advocate. I'll put the link in the chat for you just now, and then you can check it out for yourself if you want to. I'm not entirely too sure if you've missed the segment, but there's the BBC article we were just talking about during the show, and then you can have a look for yourself if you want to. So anyway, right, let me get into this next watch here. I watch PA streams and White Rabbits, etc. All right, there we go. Got to go. Please take care. Oh, thank you very much for watching the show, Brum Al. I really do appreciate you being here. So take care and stay safe. Right, let me just get the link and I'll show up a poster of the film. Now, this is a film that's often regarded as a film or horror film classic. I'm pretty sure everyone has seen this film back in its day, or even recently for that matter. Let me just get into that just now. Paste, and let's see here. Let me just share the screen. There we go. And the film, because again it's Halloween season and because it's going to be a horror film we'll talk about for this segment of the show, the film we're going to be talking about is none other than John Carpenter's Halloween. Now, this is a film I have seen a couple, maybe like not a lot, but I have seen it a few times. And of course, I do know about the film's reputation in terms of is often regarded as a very respectable horror film, a very respectable film within John Carpenter's catalog of films. I know many people say like, oh well, I actually appreciate or really liked the Thing, or they liked Assault on Precinct 13, or Escape from New York, or anything like that. Which some of them I've not seen, or even to a lesser case example, some people would say his film. I don't know if he actually directed this film, but They Live, which had Roddy Rowdy Piper. Now I've not seen the film itself, but I've seen clips of it, of course. And I believe he directed a film based off of a Stephen King book called Christine, about like a killer car, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, he's a very well liked and a very respectable filmmaker in the industry. And of course, this film, Halloween, is arguably one of his best films ever made, if not the best John Carpenter film he's ever made. Now, I know that can be quite a statement to make, because again, many people have their own opinions and ideas of what their favorite John Carpenter film is. And to be fair, I have seen his film The Thing, and obviously that film is terrific. And I know that Mark, Laura, Nave is concerned, Horace, and also Hyrath have talked about The Thing on the PA Film Club this past Sunday. But if I had to pick one film from John Carpenter, and I know it may be a bit unfair to say because there's so many great films within John Carpenter's catalog, but although that being said, there's also a lot of bad films he's made in the past. But I would say at the moment, I would say Halloween is probably his best film he's ever done, and I'll just cover more in just a short second, just to respond to Indigenous Advocate. We smokers are fucking losers. No, I wouldn't go as far as calling them losers or anything like that at all. I'm just saying that I don't recommend smoking weed. If people want to smoke weed, whether it be, say, for their own benefit or anything like that, and if they use it responsibly, then that's completely fine. It's entirely up to them if they want to take it or not, but I wouldn't recommend it. But if people want to do it, that is entirely their choice if they want to with that. So may come off as a very libertarian viewpoint, but when it comes to the topic of weed, I'm very in the middle of that topic, as I mentioned earlier on during the show. We want no two-verse in nationalism. Again, fair point, Indigenous. Very, very fair point. I wouldn't recommend people. I do not recommend people smoking weed, but if they want to, that's entirely up to them with that. I wouldn't take it, to be honest with you, but that's just me with that. So let's move on and talk about the film Halloween, which I know many people have seen this film in the past. This is a film, just like any other slasher film in the past, it spawned a major, well, I wouldn't say it's like a major franchise, but there's a lot of sequels to the film. There's a remake of the film that came out in 2007, which was directed by Rob Zombie, which was not like a great remake, to be quite honest with you. It just felt like by the numbers, and it honestly completely defeated the horrific aspect when it comes to the original here. That remake was successful enough that it spawned a sequel, which was also directed by Rob Zombie, which is absolutely, which I heard, I've not seen that sequel, but apparently it's meant to be complete, utter tripe. But that being said, and then of course in 2018, it came back with a sequel, also pseudo reboot of the franchise. So basically, it's a pseudo reboot of the entire Halloween franchise, but it also is seen to be a 40-year-long sequel to the original John Carpenter's Halloween. Hence why that 2018 film, even though it's just called Halloween, or people call it as, or even people call it as Halloween 2018, it takes place 40 years after the events of this film here, John Carpenter's Halloween. And there's also a sequel to that coming out later on. I actually think it's coming out this week, I think. I don't know if it's coming out either this Friday coming, or like tomorrow, or anything like that at all. But I think it is coming out this week or next week, and that film is called Halloween Kills. And if that film is successful, because they planned this Halloween trilogy, 2018 Halloween Kills, and then there's going to be a third one coming out next year, I think, because I think the two films were shot back to back, if I'm not mistaken. But the next one will be the big finale, which will be called Halloween Ends. So hopefully it will be successful enough to maybe end that franchise, but we'll see from there with that. But anyway, sorry, I'm going off on a tangent here. Let's actually talk about this film, which is often regarded to be a classic. Now, this film, John Carpenter's Halloween, is not. Many people will say that this was the film that kickstarted the American horror slasher film genre, or the slasher film genre. That's like a subgenre of the horror film genre. Like, I know that may sound like a mouthful, but bear with me here. So, but a lot of people would make the argument that there have been many films before Halloween that came out that you could say kind of kickstarted the slasher genre. Some people would say Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho started that subgenre. Some people will say the Texas Chainsaw Massacres kickstarted that genre. In fact, some people would say to a much lesser extent, and I don't know if people may remember this horror film, but it's a Canadian-made horror film called Black Christmas, I think. A lot of people would say that started off the horror film genre, but I have to say, if there is one horror film that really started off that subgenre, I think it would be a film called Friday the 13th, which came out 2 years after this film, which I think that would be 1980. So you could say Halloween was it's kind of like the Jaws and Star Wars argument, which what I mean by that was Jaws came out in 1975 during the summer. It was a big, colossal hit. Many people thought that was the starter of the summer blockbuster, and then 2 years later, Star Wars came into the frame, and that was what really kickstarted the summer blockbuster. So in this case, you could make an argument that Halloween was the film that started the slasher genre, whereas Friday the 13th perfected that genre. And then, because after Friday the 13th, from 1980 up until 1984, 85 or something like that, there was like a massive explosion of like slasher films coming out left, right, and center. There was slasher films like My Bloody Valentine, A Nightmare on Elm Street. There were films like I'm trying to think like a lot more. Actually, hold on. Let me see if I can get like a bigger list here, because that was like a time where it was like really popular to make slasher films, like even though they'd be made very low budget, but they would come back with like a major profit, kind of like something similar to what happened with the film series called Paranormal Activity, where they were made with like a little to no budget whatsoever, but then they would be incredibly successful. They would bring the studio back lots and lots of money. Let me see, slasher films. Let me see if I can find more lists, because there's like so many to pick and choose from. Hold on. So I've already mentioned My Bloody Valentine. I've already mentioned A Nightmare on Elm Street. Let me see here. You could see films like Child's Play, even though that came out in the late 80s, like 87 or 88. Let me see here. I mean, I can go on with that. I mean, it pretty much kickstarted like so many films within that genre. But anyway, sorry. Again, I'm going off on a tangent when it comes to this topic. But let's actually talk about the film Halloween. My first exposure of this film was actually from a film review. I don't know if many people would remember this content creator on YouTube. He's actually still around to this very day on a channel called Cinemassacre, and that content creator goes by the name of, well, his name is James Rolfe. For those that don't know, James Rolfe is very famous on YouTube for being for portraying the character of the angry video game nerd. So not only was he a guy who was very into video games, and also not just the character he plays as, but as James Rolfe the person, but he also talks about how he's like a massive like film fan. He actually studied cinema because he wanted to be in the film business. As a matter of fact, he actually went as far to making an actual like film. Well, he made other films in the past for his website, or even for his own, like for himself and for his friends. But he's also made films for his website, and he made one of official film for the AVGN character, which would be the Angry Video Game Nerd movie that came out, I think, back in the 2010s, like the early 2010s or somewhere like that. But anyway, he made an AVGN video game review of Halloween, even though it was part of like a two-parter for like a Halloween special, because I think part one he covered Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I think the console he was playing it for was for the Atari 2600, I think. So that was part one, and then part two would be about John Carpenter's Halloween. And then, of course, later on, he did a film review of not just the first Halloween film, but pretty much the entire franchise. So Halloween, and of course, the sequels right after that. And that was when I was just like, I've never really seen Halloween, but I really wanted to check it out and see from there. So I watched it. And of course, even before then, I've heard many people talking about Halloween, like, oh, it's a film classic. It's up there as like one of their favorite horror films of all time, if not one of the best horror films ever made. People talk about how it's like one of the scariest films of all time, even though, of course, that's very subjective. Some people will say The Shining is the scariest film ever made. Others will say a film like The Exorcist is the scariest film ever made. Or even some people say a film like A Nightmare on Elm Street is one of the scariest films ever made because of the idea of being asleep, and then if you're in a dream, someone in your dream is trying to kill you, and then if you try to wake up, or if you don't wake up and then you're killed within that dream, then you're dead in real life. That could be a very scary concept. But when it comes to Halloween, what I really like about this film is the simplicity of it all. If you really get down to it, like if the bare bones regarding to this film in terms of its plot, it's basically about a deranged serial killer who escapes from a mental asylum and goes to like Haddonfield, Illinois, I think it takes place in, even though it's entirely like a fictional place. But he goes to Haddonfield and he stalks like a group of teenagers during Halloween, which again, that could be a pretty scary thought, because people are dressed up for Halloween and you can never tell who's the killer or who's not the killer. It can be a pretty scary idea. But another thing about that is just the idea of you being alone or with a group of people in your house, in the comfort of your own house, of your home, and then there's some crazed masked guy who just breaks into your home, and the only thing he wants to do to you is just kill you, and that's it. Very simplistic and very straight to the point, but it works. Well, I'll get to my complaints about this film in just a second, but even though the film was released in the 70s, more specifically in 1978, but you could see, and yes, I'll definitely get to the complaints in just a short minute, but some people may say it's a very dated film, and I can see why that may be the case, but just like the film Jaws, even though it may be a very dated film, but in terms of the themes it talks about, the idea itself, the concept, if you will, I think still resonates today regarding to the year 2021, because hey, it may be like a very small chance of happening, but there's always that time where you, as I said before, you're in the comfort of your own home, and then someone breaks into your home, and the only thing they want to do is just kill you. That could be a very scary idea. Now, as much as this film is a great film, I mean, of course, another thing to talk about is, and I know many people will bring this up, is the score. The score, which I think was composed by Carpenter himself. Again, very simplistic, but it works so well, even to this very day. Wait, if you were to hear that theme song, the Halloween theme song, I don't know if it may be like a good idea to actually, you know what? I don't care if I get hit with copyright. I'll just play it as like an example kind of thing. Hold on, let me see if I can bring it up here because I want to showcase of just the brilliance of this song regarding to the film itself, and then we'll get to that just a minute here. Halloween theme. Let me see. I'm pretty sure it may be still sharing. Yeah, it is, right. That's cool. Let's see here. Right, please don't get hit by copyright. I hope not. So you see what I mean with that? So I don't know if you guys can hear that. It's maybe at the start of it. Let's see. Alright, there we go. So like I said with this theme, right? Hold on, I'll turn it down just a little bit so you can kind of hear my voice as well. So you see what I mean, right? It's very simple in its the way it's made, but it works so brilliantly well. And like I said earlier on, when you hear this theme, if you've seen the film before and you hear this theme, you're like, oh, I know exactly what that is. It's kind of like the film The Exorcist with the song Tubular Bells. Even though the Tubular Bells was made by an actual like a musician or a band, but many people listen to that and will instantly think it's the Exorcist theme. It's a very recognizable theme song. So right, I think I'll turn the song off now because what I've also noticed is that I got my bedroom lights, not lights, sorry. I like the score. Same here at English Rose. I really do like that score as well. I've also noticed I've got my bedroom window open. So, I got my bedroom blinds open. So, and of course, it's very dark outside. I just don't like the idea of hearing that song and then I don't know, maybe someone like watching in like just but yeah, but I hope you get my point when it comes to this film Halloween. Like great score. It's I think I'll get to the acting in a moment here, which I know many people will say. If I think the two best actors in the film are both Donald Pleasance, who plays Dr. Loomis, I think the character's name, and then of course there's Jamie Lee Curtis, who plays what's the character's name? Is it Laurie Strode? Laurie Strode, yes. I think Jamie Lee Curtis is. I mean, of course, her in the current state, she's a complete utter lefty douchebag because she's completely against guns and all of that. But that being said and done, I think her performance in this film, especially towards the very end, is brilliant. You really believe that she's completely terrified. But not only is she's terrified with the situation, but she's not like any other, say, like damsel in distress. I know that may seem quite like a bad way of saying because of the whole feminist movement, hijacked the phrase and whatnot. But when it comes to the idea of the damsel in distress, the one thing many people will say with these horror films is that you get all these women, not all of them, of course, not all of them, but most of the time, the last survivor of the film, which many people call it the final girl in the film, and they usually like try and run away and hide and all of that. But with Laurie Strode, yes, she's terrified of the situation, but she's smart. She's smart in that she doesn't try to like completely run away and abandon like the kids she's babysitting or the boy. She actually does think ahead and tries to go one step ahead of Michael Myers, who in this film is not called Michael Myers, but instead it was known as The Shape. I think he was called Michael Myers. I think it was either later with the first sequel, or maybe they mention it in this film here regarding to like the context of within the story. But I really want to also mention the actor Donald Pleasance again, who plays Dr. Loomis. he gives a stunner performance in this film as well. Especially my favorite scene in the film where he talks about Michael Myers and how actually no, you know what? Just for context, let me play the scene because it's just a brilliant scene. Hold on, let me see if I can. Doctor speech. Hold on. Right. Yeah, this one. Right. I don't know if I'll play the full clip, but it's a brilliant scene. I would say it's probably my favorite scene out of the entire film. Let's see here. I don't know if I can get to the bit here. Hold on. It's a certain moment. Hold on one sec.
Anybody live here? Well, not since 1963 when it happened. Every kid in Haddonfield thinks this place
Right,
is
this bit.
Me, you're just plain scared.
Yes, yeah, I am. I met him 15 years ago. I was told there was nothing left. No reason, no conscience, no understanding, and even the most rudimentary sense of life or death, of good or evil, right or wrong. I met this 6-year-old child with this blank, pale, emotionless face, the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes. I spent 8 years trying to reach him, and then another 7 trying to keep him locked up because I realized that what was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil.
What do we do?
He's been here once tonight. I think he'll come back. I'm gonna wait for him.
I still think I should notify the radio and television.
No. If you do that, they'll see him in every street corner. They'll look for him in every house. Just tell your men to keep their mouths shut and their eyes open.
There you go. So hopefully you all get the full context of that. But you see what I mean? Even just that speech alone, it's just brilliant. It really is brilliant. It really does give you the sense of just how, like, the sense of dread when it comes to Michael Myers, where Dr. Loomis, he tries to help Michael Myers when he was a boy, but he just tell like that there's like no sense of like right or wrong when it comes to Michael Myers. Like he, as Dr. Loomis says it, he just sees just pure utter evil when it comes to Michael Myers, and the way he delivers that line or that speech is just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Now, with all the stuff I've said about this film when it comes to Halloween, I do have some complaints about the film. Now, I did talk about the point where some people will say it's quite dated because it's the late 70s and whatnot, and that part I can agree. Now, I know I've said earlier on that the speech from Donald Pleasance in that scene there is absolutely fantastic. However, the one major complaint I do have with the film, it's the dialogue. The dialogue in this film is just awful. Now, I know that may seem contradictory when I say great things about the Donald Pleasance speech, and that's the thing. When it comes to the dialogue, that's probably the only piece of dialogue in the film that's actually brilliant. Every other piece of dialogue in this film is just awful. And what I mean by that is because this is it was filmed and released in the 70s. Obviously, it definitely does take place in the 70s. Like, it does have that late 70s vibe. Like all of Laurie Strode's friends in this film always say totally this, totally that, like totally. Like they just say that word constantly in every sentence, known to man. But I mean, I think that's like my only minor complaint I do have with the film is to do with the dialogue. Now, of course, maybe for its time, like it was deemed more acceptable because it was the 70s, and I can see why people will say, "Oh, this film seems quite dated because of the dialogue or the late 70s aesthetic." I can definitely understand that, but like I said, with the Donald Pleasance acting, and you can also say Jamie Lee Curtis's acting in the film as well, and the concept alone, I think is something that still holds up today in 2021. So much so that we had, of course, many sequels, and of course, the remake of Halloween, which actually that was something that what I really didn't like about the Rob Zombie Halloween remake. See, what was great about this film, the John Carpenter's Halloween film, at the start of the film, where it's like a point of view shot with Michael Myers, where Michael kills his sister, and again, it's all like a POV shot or like point of view, which of course is really disturbing and really sets the tone for the rest of the film. What I really like about that scene in particular, well, not like necessarily, but what I think is really unnerving about that scene is when it cuts out of the POV shot and the father removes the mask off of Michael Myers, removes the mask off of Michael Myers' face. When, of course, this was a time when Michael Myers was a boy. And the thing, what's really unnerving about that is that he wasn't brought up in an abusive household or a working class background or anything like that at all. He was just like a normal, ordinary boy who one day just fucking snapped and decided to kill his sister, really for no reason whatsoever, other than he just wanted to kill someone. Again, it may seem really simple, but it's very simple, but again, it works because of the simplicity with it. And I think it actually makes it a lot more disturbing because you're like, wait, what the fuck? But, oh man, it's just brilliant. I mean, obviously, I've talked about the score. I've talked about the two actors who I think are like the best actors of the film. I talked about the... Oh, yeah, sorry. I'm just going back to the Halloween remake. That's what I didn't like about the Halloween remake was that for some odd reason, Rob Zombie, who's meant to be like a big horror fan, right? Especially he talks about in interviews and such, like, oh, I love John Carpenter's Halloween. I think it's one of the best horror films of all time. And it's like when you watch his Halloween film, especially how Michael Myers is brought up in a very, very poor, rundown, almost abusive household. Well, abusive in the sense that I think it's his stepdad who was really abusive, or his actual dad, who's like really abusive towards Michael Myers. It basically made this within the remake. It gave the sense of, oh, that's how Michael Myers became the monster we all know from the previous films, or even for this film, is because of child abuse or anything like that. But in the original, in this John Carpenter film, you didn't need anything like that whatsoever. It was just a case of, maybe it's just a case that Michael Myers was just born evil. You know, it wasn't a case of, oh, he was brought up in an abusive household or he was bullied a lot or anything like that at all. He was just an ordinary boy who, as I said, just fucking snapped one day. And like I've said, or even like in the Donald Pleasance speech, he was probably just born evil. And that is, again, very simple, but again, it works so well. It works very well. Now, when it comes to this film, another point I wanted to make as well is that I would say this is probably, I'm pretty sure you've all may have seen this film when it came out back in the 90s. It's a film called The Blair Witch Project. Now, the reason I'm bringing up The Blair Witch Project is that it's a film that was very independently made. It was made with little to no budget whatsoever, but it was a massive success when it first came out. Now, when it comes to the film Halloween, again, very independent made film, little to no budget whatsoever, but it was a huge success when it was released back in the theaters back in 1978. And so much so that, of course, the studio or whoever was involved with the sequel wanted to make a sequel. And, of course, they made Halloween 2, which continued on with the Michael Myers story. But it was supposed to be the ending of the Michael Myers story after that. Because after that, they made a third Halloween film, which would of course, be called Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. And that was the film where... that was supposed to be a film that was meant to kickstart the Halloween anthology series, because the thing was, this film Halloween, if it was meant to have sequels, it wasn't supposed to be like a slasher film genre type of franchise, or even just a Michael Myers franchise. It was supposed to be like an anthology horror film series that each film had like a new story or new characters to it. What's regarding to that, but when Season of the Witch came out, people were really confused and were like, well, where's Michael Myers? And that's when they made the fourth film, that's when they brought back Michael Myers. And of course, sequel after that, it became pretty much the Michael Myers franchise rather than the actual Halloween franchise. So there we go. Nothing really else to talk about. I mean, obviously, this film is a classic, and rightfully so. I've not, sorry, excuse me, I've not actually seen the 2018 film, but if I have the chance, I'll definitely see if I can maybe check out later on and then see from there, of course. But we'll definitely see. There we go. So I hope that will come to the end of that segment with the show when it comes to, of course, talk about a certain horror film, because again, being Halloween and that. I hope you guys have enjoyed that segment, and hopefully maybe more will come in the future. I don't know, but I think what will be important is, let me know what you all think. Would you want me to continue on with that with future episodes for this month in October, or not bother with it? I'll ask afterwards, even on Telegram, regarding to that. So let me have a look and see what was said in the chat, because maybe I know people may have their opinion on the film or anything like that at all. There was a movie made in 1978 called The Medusa Touch. It too is dated with the usual non-profanity dialogue, which is now mainstream. All right, that's fair enough. I don't know if I actually ever heard of that before, but House of a Thousand Corpses, I remember seeing that a long while ago. Totally different, well, completely different to his later films, especially Rob Zombie's The Devil's Rejects, which is meant to be a sequel, but it's a completely different beast entirely. So I read Amityville Horror in 1976 in one of me mum's mags as a weekly column before the film came out. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I remember that was quite a big deal when that came out. Like everyone was talking about that. So let's see. Chief Moody, would you class Big Trouble in Little China as a horror film? At the very least, it makes all Chinatowns creepy as if. I would say it's like a fun action film or anything like that at all. But I think I remember seeing that film like a long time ago. But I might actually need to see that at some point. So. Chief Phillips Schofield behind you. Don't look around. I'll try not to. So, Joan Carpenter did some classics. Indeed, he did. The Others is brilliant with killer twist. Saint Maud is another excellent psychological horror. I've heard about The Others. In fact, I remember when that first came out, and that was quite a big deal. I don't know if because if The Others had was it Nicole Kidman who starred in that film? But I remember when that first came out, and that was a pretty big deal when it came out. But don't Chief Moody, there's somebody at the door. Don't do that. Dear, careful of the vampires, Moody. It's behind you. Guys, stop. Dear. The Exorcist. Now, that was a scary book and a great film. I've never read the book, but of course, I've seen the film, The Exorcist. I've seen both the theatrical cut and the director's cut. And to be honest, I can't really tell which of the two versions is my favorite. I think the director's cut does add a few more films, but I wouldn't say it's better or worse than the theatrical cut. But I think it's really all to do with like personal preference with that. So. Sorry, excuse me. Once saw a scary film about little scary tiny men who lived under the stairs and were terrorizing a lady. Scary shit. Oh, dear. Let's see. Simple but effective, indeed. It's an unforgettable score. Indeed it is. I think you have to go a long way to beat The Exorcist. Yeah. Again, I think it's all very subjective when it comes to horror films. Yeah, very Tubular Bells. Yeah, very Tubular Bells. Let me see. If someone comes to your house in a mask and wants to kill you, that will be the vaccine squad from the NHS. Sorry, excuse me. Yeah, I can definitely see that. So, especially in in today's political climate. So, don't like the slasher type horror. Prefer films like the others. Yeah, I think we just talked about that earlier on or just now. Crazed ass to Shatner. Yeah. Well, see, that's a funny thing when it comes to the Michael Myers mask. How they made the mask was that it was originally a Star Trek William Shatner mask or like a James T. Kirk mask, and they decided to not like I think cut a bit of the hair off, trimmed or cut off the eyebrows, and then painted the face white to give it that like kind of ghostly look to it. And that's of course became like the iconic Michael Myers look we know today. It's about evil incarnate. Indeed, Woodlander. Indeed, that Prom Night. I Spit on Your Grave for good. Oh, I Spit on Your Grave was a very notorious film when it came out back in the 70s. It's probably actually I Spit on Your Grave is a film that would not only would never be made as it was made back then, but you can imagine all of the feminists would come out of the woodwork and just be like, "Oh, this is so misogynistic and problematic." Yeah, I really like the Blair Witch Project. I really like that film too. I actually remembered I first watched that when I was a bit younger. That film was actually one of the few horror films that really freaked me out, especially like the last 10 minutes, which is, I know that would be something that a lot of people would talk about if they've seen the Blair Witch Project. But anyway, there was a new Alien coming, of course. Evil Dead. Evil Dead is really good too. I prefer Evil Dead 2, Dead by Dawn. That's my favorite. Not just my favorite film series, well, horror film series, the Evil Dead, but Evil Dead 2 is my personal favorite of the series. Alien was a masterpiece. And Alien, I would say when it comes to Alien and Aliens, Alien is I would probably say is the best of the Alien films. I know many people will say Aliens is the better film, but to be honest, I think Alien is way better than Aliens. The problem I have with the problem I have with Aliens as a film is that James Cameron felt the need to explain the alien creature. So what I mean by that was, in the original Ridley Scott Alien, you never knew much about the alien itself. You didn't know what was the name of the alien species, where it came from, and all. Well, we kind of get the sense of where it came from, but you didn't know too much about it. But what makes it scary is that it gives it that sense of mystery to it. Like the less you know, the more horrifying it is. But the problem with Aliens is that it felt the need to explain the alien creature. For example, given the name the xenomorph, and talking about like came from this planet, and of course being more than one alien, which you could say that it does raise the stakes regarding to that. But the fact that it comes from this like queen alien, which gives birth to these alien creatures, but it's just it ruins that sense of mystery that the Ridley Scott film did back in 1979, which I thought was way more effective than say Aliens. But anyway, that's just my opinion when it comes to that. So I think Screenwave now writes James Rolfe's scripts. They do. I think there was like talks about was it like plagiarism at work when they reviewed well, for the first review for this year's Monster Madness for 28 Days Later. But yeah, I think that's all been rectified. But anyway, Rare exports A Christmas Tale. Let's see. The Hills Have Eyes. I've never actually seen The Hills, although I've seen the remake of The Hills Have Eyes, but I've never really seen the original Wes Craven film. But anyway, all of the degenerate teens in Halloween get slaughtered. Indeed they do, except for Laurie Strode, who Laurie Strode, you would say, is like the more innocent type of teenage character who, and of course being like the final girl in the film. But anyway, Chief Mooney, Bay of Blood is regarded as the proto-slasher. All right. I don't know if I may have heard of that film before, but I'll see if I can have a look at that later on. Bay of Blood. Right. Hold on one sec. Comment peeked my eye there. Henry Hill. Extra made me physically sick when I was a young kid. I've never seen Extra, but I've heard about that film that it was quite notorious. Well, not notorious, but there was a scene in the film that was quite notorious when it first came out, like the alien birth scene. And I'll leave it at that for regarding to it. So they totally talked like that back in the day. Lol. Oh dear. Originally, Invasion of the Body Snatchers was brilliant. Oh, I was, yeah. It's actually, to be honest with you, it's one of the few films that came out in the 50s. I think it was 1958 to be exact. That I actually really do like, because I never tend to watch anything. Anything from 1960s and onwards, I'll watch, but anything like 50s and that, I cannot watch it. I don't know if it's maybe because of like it was a different way of like making films back then, but I agree with you, Indigenous Advocate. I really enjoyed the original Invasion of the Body Snatchers. I also heard that the 70s remake is also meant to be really good. In fact, so much so people consider the 70s remake to be better than the original 1950s version. But anyway, I've never seen the remake, but I've seen the original 50s film by Don Siegel. I think the director's name was. Anyway, let me just see what else is said, and then I think I'll come to an end with the stream. 1 second here. Have you seen the latest one? I've not seen the 2018 Halloween film. Like I said, I'll see if maybe if I'm in the mood for it. Not like later on tonight, but if I'm in the mood for it, I'll see if I can give it a watch and then see from there. I've been meant to see it because obviously it's like a pseudo reboot, but it's more of a sequel to the original 1978 film. In fact, taking place literally 40 years after the events of the John Carpenter film. So I'll see if I can give it a watch, but then we'll definitely see from there. So let me see. I remember that film. Let's see here. Yep. Yeah, Aliens is sci-fi. Yeah, well, sci-fi, and also an action film, but with little sprinkles of horror regarding to that. I think Alien or Aliens or Alien 2 is crap, or Aliens. It's just an action movie. It's basically just an action film, but with a sci-fi action film with sprinkles of horror thrown into it. So, Threads, the BBC nuclear war drama, is more horrifying than any horror film. I've not seen it, but I have heard of it. Many people say it's one of the most disturbing films ever made because I think it came out in the 80s, when the time when the Cold War was at its peak. Like, people were worried that they were going to be entered in some kind of like nuclear war with Russia or any other country like that. But I've never seen Threads, but if I can find it, I'll see if I can maybe give it a watch and then see from there. So I like the Alien film set on a prison planet. I think that not Alien 3? Alien 3 that was set on a prison planet. I don't know. I've never seen Alien 3, but I think that was the one that was where that took place on an alien planet. But anyway, let's see here. Yep. Perfect. The Freaks is a good old one. I think that's an old 30s film, if I'm not mistaken, or an old 40s film. Freaks. Stand By Me. It's a Stephen King film, I think. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, that is no worries whatsoever. Perfect. So I think what I'll do, folks, is that I'll end the stream right there. Hold on 1 second. Yeah, it's come up to 7:52. And then I'll just end the stream right there. So hopefully you've enjoyed that segment. It's the first time I've done that for tonight's episode. Again, just for this month being Halloween. Hopefully I might do that more in the future, but I'll ask you guys still in the comments or even in the like questionnaire poll and see if you want to go from there with that. But so hopefully you've all enjoyed that tonight's episode. I don't know if I'll be back this Sunday with episode 34. The reason for that being is because this Sunday coming, I shall be going out with members of PA Scotland. We'll be going out leafleting, and I don't know how long we will be, whether it be for a short period of time or if we're going to be going out for the majority of the day. So Sundays, I usually stream from 5 p.m. till 7 p.m. or 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I don't know if I'll be back this Sunday or I'll make it back or anything like that at all. But if anything happens on that day, anything at all, I'll keep you guys posted on Telegram or any other platform, which is why it'd be best to follow me on those platforms so that you do know what exactly is going on with that. So, but yeah, just to give you a bit of an update with that and some heads up with that as well. So, yeah, that's going to be it for this fine evening. I hope you've all enjoyed tonight's episode, and I hope to see you all again this Sunday with episode 34, and then we shall see from there. So I am going to go back onto YouTube, and I'll see if I can play us out. Sorry, excuse me, with an outro song, and then we'll see from there. So, right. Okay. Maybe nothing Halloween related yet. I might want to leave that for the Sunday episode where it actually is Halloween, but for now, let me just see if I can find a song to play us out with at the moment. Let me see here. Sorry, excuse me, I'm just yawning. So, yeah, that could be a sign I need to maybe go to my bed early tonight, but we'll see. We definitely shall see. What I'm gonna play? Yeah, I think I'll play this. Yeah, 3 minutes 1 second long. Yeah, that's pretty ideal. Perfect. Right, excellent. Well, I shall be away. I do see people like saying goodbye. You're 14 in the chat and all of that. Thank you for a good stream. Good night, all, and please be safe. Same to you, English Rose. I really appreciate you all being here. Excellent. Sorry, excuse me. Let me see here. Yep. That's great. Excellent. Excellent indeed. Yeah, well, that's great. Right, so I will be going away again. I appreciate you all being here. I hope you enjoyed the show. Again, it may sound like I'm repeating myself. I think that's the tiredness coming along. So again, I do apologize for that. So anyway, yeah, you've made me yawn. Sorry, Julia. Sorry. Anyway, let me just share the screen real quick. I'll play this one here, but hopefully I'll see you all again on Sunday. This is Chief Moody signing out. You have been watching the Mood of the Nation podcast, and hope to see you all again on Sunday. If not, I'll give you guys updates regarding to that. So anyway, take care, stay safe, and I will see you in the near future. Thank you, and good night. Thank you.
My blood, one of the nation. My blood, through generations. My blood. What a harrowing time to witness what it means to be white, as our history's taught a guilt trip. God forbid you have pride, and all this doesn't shake the bones, awakening a rage that only grows. Echoing, you will not replace us. You will not erase us. Darkness will be overthrown as
Patience dies and courage finds its home. Echoing, echoing, echoing. And nothing can take what my forefathers gave from me. Fighting for them till the heavens will strike it. I won't be denied of my grace and my own country. Light is my skin and I'll live till it's joy. My blood, water of nation. My blood. My blood, through generations. My blood. My blood.